The iPhone 15's popularity in India has been crazy this year, at least anecdotally. And I am saying that because at least 4 people in our office have already purchased the phone. But I'm sure that most Android fans will have the question, is the Google Pixel 8 better than the iPhone 15 and can it take on the juggernaut of the iPhone 15 and maybe eat into the sales as well? Well, that is exactly what we're going to find out in this detailed review of the Pixel 8 and full comparison against the iPhone 15. If you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad, you're watching Chack and Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, starting with the design, the iPhone 15 is actually slimmer compared to the Pixel 8 and it is lighter as well. That's also because there's a smaller battery inside the iPhone 15, so that's something that you have to keep in mind, but I'll talk about the battery life later in the video. Now, with respect to the materials used in the construction, of course both have glass on the front and the back, but the Pixel 8 this time around has been curved really nicely. Both have a really good in-hand feel as well, and I also like the fact that you get a matte aluminum frame on both the phones. It does feel very good to the touch. But the rear glass on both are different. You get a glossy back on the Pixel 8 and it's a smudge magnet, at least in this black variant that we have. And compared to that, the iPhone 15 has a frosted, very nice feeling finish as well. But Apple calls this blue color and it doesn't look blue at all. It is the palest of pale blues that I've seen. In comparison, the blue color variant on the Pixel 8 Pro is definitely better. Now, with respect to the camera setup, both are just a refinement of their previous iterations. So you get that same visor look on the Pixel 8, whereas you get a squarish camera module on the top right corner with the, diagonally placed camera rings as well. Now, with respect to the design and the look of the phones, which is very subjective, I actually prefer the Pixel over the iPhone. Now, one thing you must note is that the Pixel actually has Corning Gorilla Glass Victus protection on the rear, the Pixel 8. In fact, the Pixel 8 Pro has Victus 2 protection, and on the iPhone you've got Corning Gorilla Glass, but we don't know which version of Corning Gorilla Glass it is because Apple actually works closely with Corning to make a color infused material this time around, and that is why it has this really good feel to it. And one of the things that I noticed with the iPhone 15 is that it is definitely far less slippery compared to the Pixel 8, which is definitely more slippery. So yeah, you might want to pick up a case before you buy the Pixel 8 for sure. And one thing that Google gets right on the Pixel 8 is that the Type-C port at the bottom is USB Type-C Gen 3.2 speeds, so you get faster read-write speeds for sure. On the iPhone, we are all aware it's only USB 2.0. If you want faster read-write speeds, then you have to buy the Pro phone. Now, talking about the buttons on the Pixel 8, the volume rocker is at the bottom and the power button is at the top on the right spine, which is a little bit of a change compared to how most other brands do it. But I feel that the placement of the volume rocker itself is absolutely perfect. But on the iPhone, you get the mute ringer switch, and that's definitely an added advantage for sure. As for the rest of the design parameters, you get IP68 rating on both. You've got wireless charging as well. So all of those basics are covered. So when it comes to the design, the build quality and the finish, they're both very premium phones and they pack in a lot of tech as well. So really no separating the two here. But when it comes to the display, the Pixel 8 is a clear winner. Now you've got OLED panels on both. The Pixel 1 is slightly larger at 6.2 inches compared to 6.1 inches on the iPhone 15. You won't be able to tell them apart in real life for sure. Disadvantage on the iPhone 15 is the fact that you get only 60 Hz refresh rate as compared to Pixel 8, which does 120 Hz and it can do variable refresh from 60 to 120 Hz. And there is really no forgiving Apple for giving only a 60 Hz display on a phone that costs 80,000 rupees. Apple really needs to ensure that next year we get promotion displays on the consumer line as well. It is very, very important. And if iPhone fans argue that the animations are smooth and even at 60 Hz it looks better than Android's 120 Hz, well, that's a load of bullcrap. Honestly, the Pixel 8 at 120 Hz feels far smoother. Now, with respect to HDR support, you get HDR10 and Dolby Vision support on the iPhone 15, whereas on the Pixel 8, you get HDR10 plus support. So Dolby Vision is definitely the superior tech if you ask me. I like Dolby Vision videos a lot, and you get Dolby Vision support on Netflix as well. So with respect to that, iPhone does have an advantage. But with respect to peak brightness, both are 2000 nits of peak brightness. And when I actually saw the displays side by side, and I even tweeted about it and people were literally fighting in the comments, I don't know why. But with the naked eye, you really cannot tell the difference too much in regular usage. The HDR performance is very similar and the color tuning is literally neck to neck. But yes, when you take the Pixel 8 and the iPhone 15 outdoors, the peak brightness in HBM mode is 1400 nits on the Pixel, whereas it's 1000 nits on the iPhone. And what I did generally notice is that Pixel does feel slightly brighter, but then again, I mean, they're extremely bright displays. However, one thing I can tell you, and that's something that I really appreciate on phones that do it well, is the haptic feedback on the Pixel 8 is superior compared to the iPhone 15. And it's not like the iPhone 15 has bad haptic feedback. It's got a Taptic engine, the vibration is tuned really well. But Pixels is slightly weightier, it's got a really nice tuning as well, plus when you're actually typing with the keyboard, it's very, very good. Yes, I know, I haven't discussed one point, and that is the dynamic island which exists on the iPhone 15 now. And I actually kind of like dynamic island. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's a huge pill and it's a distraction, but this, in a lot of ways, in more ways than one, in my regular usage, it does function like a secondary display. For example, if I've ordered something from Swiggy, then immediately I can see and track the status out there. In fact, my colleague Srikanth actually uses a dock on the lock screen, and that dock replicates itself on that, dynamic island as well, which is very, very useful. So you can switch between apps directly from there. In comparison, the Pixel 8 only has a hole punch, so the distraction is less, but the dynamic island is useful. But overall, with respect to the display, I would pick the Pixel 8 over the iPhone 15, like I said before. But if you're looking at rounding up the multimedia experience, we have to consider the audio performance as well. iPhone 15 has way better speakers with way better Dolby Atmos tuning compared to the Pixel 8. Take a listen for yourself and let me know which sounds richer and which sounds fuller. But if you're somebody who likes listening to wireless audio, which is of course with wireless headphones or TWS buds, I'd suggest sticking to an Android phone, something like the Pixel 8 would also do, because you get support for LDAC, you get support for LHDC, lossless codecs. iPhone still cannot do lossless wireless audio yet properly. In fact, Apple clearly believes that Bluetooth is not suited for lossless audio, which I kind of agree as well, because it's pretty volatile with respect to connectivity. But yeah, I mean, you can't do wireless lossless audio on the iPhone 15. But what you can do is use that Type-C port at the bottom with a USB DAC like the Shanling DAC that I use, the Shanling UA2, and listen to your favorite wired headphones. Wired is better than wireless for good audio quality. I'll say that over and over again. For the first time, you're gonna get bit perfect audio on Android phones, including the Pixel. But that update has not come out yet, and that's something that I found out recently. So I'm waiting for the BitPerfect audio support, but if you are somebody who's an audiophile, the BitPerfect audio support is available on the iPhone 15. So I think if you use wired headphones, then you should pick the iPhone 15 over the Pixel 8. Alright, let's talk about the performance now. You're aware the Tensor G3 is what is inside the Pixel 8 compared to A16 Bionic inside the iPhone 15. Now, there are comparable benchmarks like, Geekbench, where the iPhone scores higher, and in 3D Mark Wildlife Stress Test, we got a better best loop score on the iPhone 15, so the GPU is also slightly more powerful. However, the stability scores were very close to each other, the GPU stability score, so that's not too bad. The Pixel throttles a lot, and in real life, it's not a good experience. And you can see that in the CPU throttle score, we got about 50-55% only. But more importantly, in regular usage, even when I was using Instagram, this phone is warm all throughout. Right now, in my hand, like I am in a studio with the AC on and it's running warm. I mean, what? And imagine if you had to use this in the peak of the summer season in the north, like in Rajasthan or in Delhi. This phone will be unusable. If it's getting hot with Instagram, you won't be able to use the camera either. Really, Google, you need to fix this. This is, in its current state, I'm going to find it very difficult to recommend it to Indians or people who want a Pixel phone in India. So yeah, performance-wise, easily the iPhone 15 would be my pick over the Tensor G3 inside the Pixel 8. So with respect to network and radio connectivity support, Wi-Fi 7 is possible on the Pixel 8, which is the latest and greatest standard of Wi-Fi. And you get Wi-Fi 6 support on iPhone 15. You get Bluetooth 5.3 and NFC support on both the phones, but Apple Pay is not supported in India, so NFC really is pointless for payments. But with Google, you get Google Pay support, so that's really nice. Now, I'm sure that one question that most Pixel fans would have right now is if the network performance is better this year compared to the Pixel and the 7 Pro. Again, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's not. With the Pixel 8, I've been using my Airtel SIM and I also switched to my Jio SIM. And generally what happened is that in areas where I would get 5G on other phones, I would get LTE, it would drop down to LTE. 5G connectivity was not consistent throughout, and despite having a nice earpiece which is very loud and very crystal clear as well, I faced a lot of call drops and disruptions during calls as well. So yeah, so it's a bit of a concern. Even right now, the iPhone 15 is more stable with respect to network performance. Now, talking about the battery life, the iPhone 15 has a smaller battery compared to the Pixel 8, and even the charging speeds are slower compared to the Pixel 8. And when I was testing the Pixel 8, I actually used the Pixel 8 at 60 Hz just to ensure that we maintain parity with the display of the iPhone 15 as well. Yet the iPhone 15 offers better battery life. So with the iPhone 15, we are consistently getting 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time daily. And at the end of the day, you can expect about 15 to 20% battery left as well. But with the Pixel 8, we've given it about a week and the battery life has been so erratic. It fluctuates anywhere between 4.5 hours of screen on time to 5.5 hours of screen on time. And even at its top end, it's not better than the iPhone 15. And this is at 60 Hz, mind you. So at 120 Hz, you can expect it to be lower. Charging time, actually, since this has a larger battery, even if it has faster charging speeds, it takes about 1 hour 30 minutes to top up, and with the iPhone 15 it takes about 1 hour 30 minutes as well. Now with the Pixel 8, the standby battery drop is also slightly on the higher side. Generally it should be about 4 to 5%, which is good. 2 to 3% is excellent, but with this we noticed about 8 to 9% of battery drop during the night. So even with respect to battery life, I would say that the iPhone 15 is more dependable and trustworthy. So when you look at it for overall performance, for network performance, and for battery life, the iPhone 15 is better than the Pixel 8. Okay, let's talk about the software. And Android versus iOS is a lifelong battle, and that's something that you have to figure out what you actually prefer. But finally, Google is beating Apple at one thing, and that is at software support. So the Pixel 8 actually offers you 7 years of software support compared to 5 or 6 years on the iPhone 15. So you will get longer software support despite how it performs right now. I feel that that's a good promise to make by Google. As for the Android 14 experience on the Pixel 8, I like the generative AI wallpapers that are there. It's a really nice feature. Sometimes you do get good wallpapers out of it. But the temperature sensor, which is a hardware addition to the Pixel 8 Pro, is not there on the Pixel 8. But coming back to the generative AI bit, not just for wallpapers, Google actually does use generative AI for a lot of things, including in the Photos app as well, which I will talk about in a bit. But the point to make out here is that generative AI also takes up internal storage space for processing. So 128 GB is too low. Just pick up the 256 GB if you're considering the Pixel 8. If you're considering buying one. Now, with respect to the security features, you've got the optical in-display fingerprint scanner, which is very fast to unlock, no problem there, and it doesn't have any problem of unlocking with an unregistered fingerprint, which is a problem with the Pixel 6a. But this year, Face Unlock has been improved as well, so much so that it actually performs like Face ID on the iPhone, which means that it can even work with banking apps or payment apps that you use. So technically, the Pixel definitely gets a leg up in terms of security compared to the iPhone, which is the first time I'm probably uttering those words. Here's a fun fact. A lot of people would think otherwise. I actually prefer Android over iOS because the level of customizability and features that you get with it, especially with something like the Pixel OS, it's damn good. The software experience is so good that it makes me feel bad that the hardware is not performing up to potential. And I really want Google to fix that issue, which is why I keep using the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. If the Pixel 8 Pro had the kind of performance that the S23 Ultra did, the Pixel 8 Pro would be my pick, not the Pixel 8, of course. Alright, finally coming to the cameras, which is definitely something that you've been waiting for. So the Pixel 8 doesn't have the telephoto camera of the Pixel 8 Pro, so you get a 50 MP primary, you get a 12 MP ultra wide and a 10.5 MP selfie camera. And on the iPhone, you've got the 48 MP primary camera, 12 MP ultra wide, a 12 MP selfie camera as well. And both these phones can also do 2x in sensor crop. Anyway, let's jump to the pictures and see how they perform. So since you get 24 MP outputs from the primary camera on the iPhone 15 by default, this, I feel, is a master stroke by Apple this year. So you do get more details than Pixel 8's 12.5 MP outputs, which generally do offer good details by default, but the iPhone 15 is better. As for the color accuracy in non-HDR samples, the exposure correction is spot on the Pixel 8. The iPhone generally shoots one stop higher than I'd like it to, but the colors on both are very close to natural, not too different. However, the Pixel is a tad bit closer to real life. The difference is very little for you to see. However, if you do note the HDR samples, the colors go for a toss sometimes because the Pixel tries to overprocess. The iPhone's rendition of the sky and the color of the road out here is closer to real life. Same is true for the second sample. But in this sample, I noticed that the Pixel's HDR correction pulls out slightly more details from the shadows and the noise levels are lower too. Now, if you're shooting friends and family in non-HDR situations, both are really close in terms of the look, but iPhone offers more details and offers close to natural skin tones as well. You know what I've noticed after testing both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro? I may be wrong out here, but real tone may not be tuned accurately for brown skins yet. At least not in the photos. Now on the iPhone, even the portrait mode is better. The edge cutout is way better tuned. The semantic segmentation is better compared to the Pixel. But if you're shooting people against the light, I prefer the HDR processing of the Pixel compared to the iPhone. Moving on to low light samples. In our first low light sample, Pixel just kills the warmth in the picture entirely. It doesn't even acknowledge the warm lighting falling from the right. but the shadow noise is far less compared to the iPhone. In the second sample again, Pixel pulls out more information from the shadows, as you can clearly tell. And in the final sample, you can see slightly more defined details with clarity compared to the iPhone. Overall, if you want to shoot low light pictures, I'd say that Pixel 8 is a better choice compared to the iPhone 15. The Pixel 8 is also a better choice than the iPhone 15 when you actually shoot ultra wide angle pictures. Ultra wide pictures are sharper, more detailed on the Pixel compared to the iPhone. Again, in ultra wide HDR, Pixel pulls in more details from the shadows. Even in low light ultra wide, Pixel 8 beats the iPhone 15 fair and square with brighter exposure and pulling out more details from the shadows, plus better noise correction as well. And you can use the ultra wide to shoot macros with the Pixel 8, but you cannot do that with the iPhone 15. Moving on to selfies, they have more accurate skin tones on the iPhone 15, just like with the primary camera, but details are matched on both. Selfie HDR is well rendered on the Pixel 8, though I prefer it. Portrait selfies, just like regular portraits, have superb edge cutouts on the iPhone 15. I noticed individual strands of hair being, identified by the algorithm itself. Low light selfies again are more detailed on the iPhone. It always has tack sharp focus compared to the Pixel. Pixel does maintain colors on the skin, but the details are missing. Alright, moving on to video recording, I'll just put it out there. The iPhone 15 is a better phone than the Pixel 8. So video recording at 4K 60 FPS, the iPhone 15 wins. The Pixel is not too bad, but the iPhone is better. Sound recording is superb, and so is the stability.
So this is the video sample shot using the iPhone and Pixel 8. So both are using primary lens.
And if you're shooting portrait video or cinematic video on the iPhone, it is again possible at higher resolutions and is generally more technically capable as well. And if you're shooting action mode, which is also possible on the Pixel in the form of ultra stabilization, then the action mode is also better on the iPhone 15. My analysis for the 4K 60 FPS ultra wide angle video is also the same. The iPhone beats Pixel, which is also the same for the selfie video recording at 4K 60 FPS. Same analysis. iPhone 15 better than the Pixel 8. And where the iPhone 15 comprehensively beats the Pixel 8 is in low light video recording. Every single time I noticed far less noise when you're shooting low light videos using the iPhone 15. But unlike the Pixel 8 Pro, which has the video boost feature coming in December, the Pixel 8 is not slated to get it. Now, one of the things that the Pixel can do better is the AI stuff, because in the Photos app, you've got a lot of AI specific features as well. For example, the best take feature is damn nice. If you miss out on a specific expression or somebody has closed their eyes, you can swap that. And you've got the magic editor, which not only helps you change the sky, but you can also move people around in the frame as well, which is pretty uncanny to see. And you've also got that cool audio eraser feature as well. So overall, if you look at it, for pictures, I'd go with the Pixel 8. For videos, I'd go with the iPhone 15. But it's not like the iPhone 15 does bad pictures. Actually, in many scenarios, it's really, really good. But Pixel 8 can definitely do better video recording. Now, after using the Pixel 8, I constantly kept getting the feeling that the Pixel 8 Pro doesn't offer that much more than the Pixel 8. The Pixel 8 is actually a very, very good phone this year. For example, in the camera app, you now get manual controls on the Pixel 8 Pro, but that's not available on the Pixel 8. However, you can just install an APK and get that. I mean, that shouldn't be a problem because the APKs are already out, by the way. I did say it's a good phone, but I don't know if it's recommendable or not, primarily because when it comes to the battery life, when it comes to the heating issues, when it comes to the network performance, the Pixel 8 is still struggling. It has the same problems like the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro did. So that is my state of mind. If I have to recommend a phone at 80,000 rupees, I'd probably end up recommending the iPhone 15 over the Pixel 8. And I wanted to give you guys a clear answer. Your mileage may vary. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.